What if everything you were taught about learning was an elaborate illusion? A prison for the mind, built brick by systems that fear the true power of comprehension. We've been told that knowledge is a vessel to be filled, a cold accumulation of data. But what do the ancient winds whisper? What do the forbidden texts reveal that modern academia ignores? There exists a forgotten path, the path of the Polymath, not one who knows much, but one who becomes the knowing itself. This is not a journey of simple acquisition, but of transmutation, an inner alchemy that dissolves the barriers between the learner and the learned. Get ready. We are about to open doors that orthodoxy sealed centuries ago, exploring the hidden. Mysteries that transform study into a path towards spiritual illumination. If you feel the spark of authentic ancestral wisdom burning within you, if you yearn to go beyond the surface and touch the very essence of any skill, this is the threshold. We will unveil 7 secrets that will reconfigure your understanding of the possible. Secrets born from harmony with the cosmic energy and a deep connection with the invisible fabric of reality. If you dare to question the established and long to awaken the dormant genius within you, accompany me on this descent into the depths of true learning. Take a step, leave your mark in the comments, subscribe to this quest, and allow this knowledge to transform you. The problem, the initial knot in this labyrinth, lies in the way the modern age has approached the acquisition of knowledge. It's an industrial, mechanical model. We are treated as mere hard drives, designed to receive information and store it, perhaps retrieving it on demand. But where does the soul, the spark, the deep connection that ignites true understanding, fit in? This system mutilates curiosity, strangles it before it can breathe. It turns the sacred quest into a tedious task, devoid of meaning. We forget that the mind is not an empty vessel waiting to be filled, but a garden waiting to be cultivated. And for it to flourish, it needs more than water and light. It needs intention. It needs purpose, a purpose that resonates with one's own identity. Ancestral wisdom teaches us that knowledge is not something external we acquire, but a frequency we tune into, a state of being we aspire to. The broken model keeps us separate, passive observers. But the first secret, the foundation upon which mastery is built, demands a fusion. It demands becoming something more, something this surrounding paradigm strives to annul. Mass education, the system designed to mold us into predictable shapes, operates under a fundamentally flawed premise that the mind is some kind of hard drive, an inert storage unit meant to archive data. It's not about comprehension or deep assimilation, much less transformation. It's about filling, accumulating, memorizing disconnected fragments of information that rarely fuse into a coherent understanding of the cosmos or our own being. This container mentality kills the vital spark. It kills curiosity in its cradle. Why ask questions if we're given all the answers? Why explore the hidden mysteries if the map is already drawn, even if it's an incomplete and falsified map? The thirst for knowledge, that sacred flame that drives true ancestral wisdom, becomes the obligation to regurgitate information. This mechanistic approach ignores the vibrational, incarnate, energetic nature of knowledge. True understanding is not a burden we carry, but a resonance we experience. It is the cosmic energy manifesting through the conscious mind. But by treating the mind as a mere receptacle, this system disconnects us from that source. It teaches us to be passive, to receive, not to actively seek, to excavate, to question down to the foundations. The forbidden texts and hermetic traditions always spoke of the mind as a crucible, a laboratory for inner alchemy, where ideas are not stored but transmuted, combined with experience and intuition to give rise to a new way of being, to spiritual. Illumination *. The modern system, conversely, offers us a plastic replica, empty of vital substance. The consequence is dire. A mind treated as a receptacle will never achieve true mastery. Mastery does not reside in the quantity of stored data, but in the ability to interact with knowledge dynamically, creatively, intuitively. It resides in the ability to see invisible connections, to apply universal principles to unique situations, to innovate, to create. But if the mind is programmed only to receive and repeat, that depth is unattainable. Curiosity, the prime engine of discovery and exploration, is systematically discouraged. Conformity is valued over originality, the predefined correct answer over the audacious question. We are taught to fit into molds, not to forge our own path. This broken model does not seek to awaken the inner genius, but rather to standardize it, domesticate it, make it predictable and controllable. It disconnects us from the ancestral wisdom that understood learning as an initiatory journey, a transformation of being, not just the acquisition of facts. It pulls us away from the hidden mysteries awaiting unveiling by the curious and bold. Mind. It denies us the possibility of spiritual illumination that arises from the deep integration of knowledge and experience, from the inner alchemy that transforms the lead of ignorance into the gold of wisdom. We are vessels, yes, but not to be passively filled, but to be activated, to resonate, to become antennas that capture cosmic energy. The key is not to store, but to be. And this system ... prevents us from being ... this system prevents us from being. But the true path to knowledge, the one hidden beneath ancient veils that superficial minds scorn, does not reside in accumulation, but in transformation. The first secret, the key that opens the door to authentic mastery, is this: true learning is not about acquiring something external, but about becoming the person who naturally manifests that skill, that knowledge. It is the spiritual illumination that arises not from the quantity of stored information, but from the quality of the being that absorbs and lives it. Think about it. It's not about learning to play an instrument by memorizing notes, but about becoming the musician whose soul resonates with every melody. It's not about studying nature by memorizing classifications, but about becoming the one who feels the pulse of life in every creature, in every leaf, in every stone. It is inner alchemy applied to knowledge, transmuting the lead of factual ignorance into the living, experienced gold of wisdom. This concept, so alien to the contemporary model, focused on external performance and certification, evokes ancient teachings deeply rooted in ancestral wisdom. Far from being a modern idea of growth mindset, it is the very basis of the hidden mysteries. Initiatory schools did not train repeaters of dogmas. They trained transformed beings whose consciousness had aligned with higher frequencies of reality. What modern psychology calls mindset is merely a pale reflection of the Hermetic principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. To truly learn, to integrate a new skill or knowledge into the very essence of your being, you must align your inner world, your beliefs, your identity, your vibration, with the essence of what you seek. It's about tuning your personal frequency to the frequency of the knowledge or skill you desire. The forbidden texts and esoteric traditions describe this process not as study, but as an initiation. You do not learn magic, you become a magician. You do not acquire wisdom, you embody the sage. This requires a deep restructuring of the self, shedding old limiting identities. I'm not good at this. I'll never understand it. It's too difficult for me. These are the mental prisons that the system builds and reinforces. True freedom lies in recognizing that your ability to learn is intrinsically linked to your ability to change who you believe you are. When you identify as the type of person who already possesses or is on the way to manifesting the desired characteristic, learning becomes an organic, almost automatic process. The actions that lead to mastery become natural habits because they are aligned with your new identity. The cosmic energy that flows through everything The same energy that sustains the laws of nature and the movement of the stars becomes your ally. You do not fight against the current. You let yourself be carried by it. This is not just a study technique. It is a philosophy of life, an approach to existence itself. The hidden mysteries have always known that power resides in being, not in having or knowing about. Spiritual illumination is not a certificate or a degree, but a state of being vibrationally coherent with universal truth. And this state is achieved through inner alchemy, where the lower self is transmuted into the higher self, capable of resonating with ancestral wisdom and capturing cosmic energy. The first step on this journey is the simple but profound decision to become, deciding who you are in relation to what you seek to learn and then living from that new identity. The system denies this because fluid, self-defined identities are difficult to control. Empty vessels are easier to fill with the desired narrative. Beings who become what they seek are unpredictable, powerful, and dangerous to the established order. If the first secret lies in the audacity of becoming that which one seeks, aligning one's inner essence with the outer manifestation and harmonizing with the current of cosmic energy. The second secret arises naturally from this transformation. For, by changing who you are in relation to knowledge, the very tapestry of reality begins to reveal its interconnected threads. The fragmented perception, imposed by systems that prefer blind, controlled specialization, gives way to a unified vision. Here lies the power of scholars, not only in the accumulation of facts, but in the ability to discern patterns and connections that escape the linear mind. This is the core of the second secret, interconnected learning. It is not about aimlessly jumping from branch to branch, but about seeing how each branch is nourished by the same root, how each discipline, however distant it may seem from another, is a reflection of the same universal ancestral wisdom. True spiritual illumination does not compartmentalize existence. It perceives it as an organic, vibrant whole. The study of music can illuminate mathematical principles or the structure of the cosmos. Botany can reveal the laws of inner alchemy. Astronomy can mirror the human psyche. The hidden mysteries have always taught that creation is a complex symphony, where each note resonates with the others. Modern science, in its fragmenting arrogance, has lost this melody. Reducing the universe to isolated pieces, it attempts to reassemble without the original manual. The forbidden texts, many of them destroyed or sealed, contain precisely these maps of connections, the keys that reveal the underlying unity. They demonstrate that the sacred geometry present in Gothic cathedrals or ancient pyramids is not just art, but a mathematical language that describes cosmic energy and the patterns of consciousness itself. When you become a seeker, the distinction between science, art, philosophy, or spirituality begins to dissolve. You do not study physics and metaphysics as separate disciplines. You see metaphysics in physics, physics in metaphysics. It is a dance, a constant interaction where one area of knowledge illuminates another, creating flashes of spiritual illumination that are, in essence, acts of inner alchemy, the transmutation of the lead of fragmented ignorance into the gold of unified ancestral wisdom. This ability to see the forest and not just the trees is what generates true creativity and innovation. It is not about the invention of the new, but the rediscovery and recombination of the eternal in new forms. It is the resonance with the cosmic energy that organizes itself into infinite patterns. A scholar does not possess 10 separate perspectives. They possess a multifaceted understanding of reality. They apply principles learned in one area to solve problems in another, a process that modern neuroscience, probing the shadows of the hidden mysteries, calls lateral thinking. But it is much more than a mere cognitive technique. It is a way of being that reflects the interconnected structure of the universe. The system fears this interconnectedness because it empowers the individual A specialist confined to their tower does not see how their work fits into the bigger picture, nor how they are being manipulated or used. But one who sees interdisciplinary patterns perceives the structures of control, the hidden narratives, the threads that connect the different spheres of existence. They see the social alchemy that seeks to transform humanity into raw material for its own ends. And, having practiced inner alchemy, they know how to resist and transmute this energy. They access the ancestral wisdom that warns of the loss of unified vision and its dangers. This second secret, then, is not just about learning more, but about learning differently, seeing unity where others see only fragments, and finding in the forbidden texts and hidden mysteries the keys to this. Expanded vision. If the second secret reveals the tapestry of interconnectedness, the third delves into the very fabric. It is not enough to see unity. One must become unity in every fiber of one's being. Ancestral wisdom, whispered over millennia and codified in the forbidden texts, is not merely a compendium of facts to be memorized. It is an invitation to transformation, a route to spiritual illumination that only manifests through embodied experience. Purely intellectual knowledge, like a beautiful map, can show the way. But the true journey, with its dangers and revelations, is only revealed when the feet touch the ground. This is the essence of the third secret: immersion and embodiment. True inner alchemy does not occur in the dusty halls of libraries, but in the furnace of life, where theory meets practice, where the mind bows to the wisdom of the body and spirit. The hidden mysteries have always known this. They're initiatory. Rituals were not lectures, but deep sensory and emotional experiences designed to dismantle the structures of the ordinary mind and allow the truth to be felt, not just understood. It was the clash with cosmic energy, the visceral contact with primordial forces that etched the lesson into the soul, not just the memory. Imagine the difference between reading a treatise on love and loving someone. The former is an abstraction. The latter, a tectonic force that transforms the interior. Likewise, understanding quantum physics intellectually is one step, but feeling the dance of particles within the body, perceiving the resonance with the universe in every breath, that is embodiment. It is allowing knowledge to pass from the brain to the hands, to the heart, to the bone marrow. In the forbidden texts, there are veiled references to ascetic practices, sacred martial arts, trance rituals, and deep meditation, methods not only of learning, but of being. They teach that the mastery of a skill or the understanding of an arcane principle is only complete when it becomes as intrinsic as breathing itself. When the body acts without hesitation, guided by a wisdom that transcends conscious thought, when emotions align with will, and when energy flows freely in harmony with cosmic energy, this immersion demands courage. It demands abandoning the safety of theory for the uncertainty of practice. It involves making mistakes, failing, and learning from every scar, every challenge. It is in this friction, in this constant interaction with reality, that inner alchemy transmutes the pure metal of knowledge into the living, radiant gold of embodied wisdom. It is the sweat on the artisan's brow that elevates their craft to a form of meditation, the warrior's pain that finds unity with their weapon, the healer's sincere compassion that resonates with another's suffering. Modern society, obsessed with digital information and passive accumulation, has deeply devalued this third secret. It teaches us to know, but not to be. It creates minds overloaded with data, but disconnected bodies and spirits, craving authentic experiences. Spiritual illumination cannot be downloaded like a file. It must be cultivated, lived, and embodied in every thought, word, and action. The hidden mysteries preserve this secret in their ritual practices and in the teachings passed from master to disciple, often through seemingly mundane tasks that in fact force the integration of knowledge into action. Ancient wisdom knew that true initiation is the transformation of the individual into a channel for cosmic energy, a being who not only understands the laws of the universe, but embodies them. The Forbidden Texts contain keys to these practices, but only for those willing to go beyond reading, to get their hands dirty with the clay of existence and mold themselves. This third secret is the bridge between gnosis, knowledge, and theurgy, divine work action, the crucial step that transforms the student into a master, the seeker into a manifester. It is the understanding that reality is not something to observe from the outside, but something to live from the inside. Behold, then, the fourth seal revealed, the sacred rhythm of learning. If the third secret reveals that knowledge must become flesh and spirit, this fourth key whispers that this inner alchemy cannot be rushed or forced. Nature itself teaches rhythm. The seed does not become a tree overnight. The tide does not flood the shore in an eternal rush. The heart does. Not beat in a single continuous pulse. There are cycles, there are pauses. There is the slow, deliberate accumulation of energy before manifestation. The modern mind, conditioned by urgency and instant gratification, rejects this ancestral rhythm. It seeks the shortcut, the summary, the knowledge pill that promises spiritual illumination without the sweat and tears of integration. But true ancestral wisdom understood that profound knowledge is organic, that it breathes. It is assimilated, not only in wakefulness and diligent study, but also in sleep, in contemplative rest, in patient repetition that engraves truth not just in the intellect, but in the fibers of being. Repetition is not mere mechanical memorization. It is the dance of the spirit with the idea, the constant return to the well to drink water that with each sip reveals a new depth. It is the ascending spiral of understanding, where each turn raises us but keeps us connected to the center. The hidden mysteries have always operated at this rhythm. Initiations were not single events, but journeys of years, marked by trials, reflection, and periods of isolation or humble service. The neophyte was taught to wait, to observe, to allow the seed of knowledge to germinate in its due time, nourished by practice in silence. They knew that haste creates cracks in the vessel of consciousness, preventing it from containing the fullness of cosmic energy. Forcing understanding is like trying to open a flower before its time. It destroys it before it can fully bloom in all its beauty. The sacred rhythm demands patience, the virtue of waiting for the proper season to harvest. It demands conscious repetition, the alchemical hammering that forges the raw metal of what is given into the gold of wisdom. It demands intentional rest, not the inertia of laziness, but the nourishing pause that allows the soul to process, the subconscious to work through the hidden mysteries received, the cosmic energy to rearrange new mental and spiritual structures. And it demands emotional reinforcement, the felt connection to what has been learned, the joy of discovery, the reverence for truth, the genuine desire to integrate. It is feeling that cements knowledge, transforming it from cold information into living wisdom. The Forbidden Texts, in their scattered fragments or coded parables, allude to this rhythm. They speak of the 7 breaths of the dragon, of the unbreakable cycles of the great work, of the precise temperature of the inner furnace that must be maintained for inner alchemy to be complete. Ignoring this rhythm, they teach, leads not only to failure, but to the disintegration of the self, to the loss of connection with cosmic energy, the source of true spiritual illumination. Precipitated knowledge is poison, not nourishment. Rushing through the veils without proper preparation, without allowing the soul to adapt to the new frequency, can tear the fabric of inner reality, leaving ethereal scars and vulnerability to discordant influences. This fourth secret reminds us of the wisdom of the body, which knows its own cycles, the wisdom of nature, which does not force growth, the wisdom of the cosmos, which moves in immutable orbits and cadences. True learning is not accumulation, but organic growth, guided by an inner and outer pulse that, when harmonized, connects the seeker with the flow of existence itself. It is allowing the cosmic energy not only to inform us, but to transform us at its own divine rhythm. The rhythm we speak of, the sacred pulse that guides the true growth of the self and inner alchemy itself, reveals a profound truth, often veiled by haste and superficiality, that no part of esoteric knowledge or existence operates in isolation. Just as the body's vital systems, like the subtle energies of the cosmos, dance in perpetual symphony, the flows of ancestral wisdom are not separate rivers, but tributaries of a single primordial ocean of divine understanding. Ignoring this, natural rhythm binds consciousness to fragments and misunderstood hidden mysteries. Embracing it allows us to perceive the secret connections, the invisible threads that cosmic energy weaves between all fields of knowledge, revealing the underlying unity that animates and sustains everything, preparing the ground for spiritual illumination. Thus we arrive at the fifth secret, transversal wisdom. Ancient civilizations, whose millennial vestiges whisper deep secrets and legacies of ancestral wisdom, did not compartmentalize knowledge as the modern age insists. For them, there was no rigid boundary between the study of celestial bodies and the art of healing the physical and spiritual body, between the sacred geometry that defined architecture and the theological principles that guided morality. Priests and initiates in the hidden mysteries were guardians not only of the rites, but also of precise astronomical tables, complex formulas for medicinal preparations, and the arcane keys to harmonious construction. They understood, whether by inheritance of ancestral wisdom or direct revelation, that mastering the language of the night sky was essential to revealing secrets about the functioning of the earth and the life that pulses within it, that the intricate growth patterns of a medicinal plant reflected the great structures of the cosmos and the laws governing inner alchemy. Why was this perception of unity so fundamental, to the point of being considered one of the pillars of spiritual illumination? Because reality itself, in its deepest essence, is a cohesive fabric, a vast and intricate tapestry woven from a single universal thread of cosmic energy. It possesses an inherently fractal nature, where the laws and patterns operating in the macrocosm are faithfully reflected and discernible in the microcosm. Understanding the forces governing the smallest subatomic particle can open doors to unraveling the structure of the immense distant galaxy, the arcane principles governing personal transformation through inner alchemy. Find a direct echo in geological change processes in the Earth's crust or in thermonuclear evolution within a star. The hidden mysteries do not reside in isolated facts or segmented information. They reside in the relationships between the parts, in the emergent patterns, in the correspondences that arise when the seemingly disconnected pieces of the great cosmic puzzle are viewed together and allowed to align harmoniously. True spiritual illumination is not the accumulation of information, but the vivid, integrated perception of this universal network. The forbidden texts, those ciphered fragments that have withstood the flames of ignorance and dogmatism, frequently allude to this universal interconnectedness in their most cryptic passages. They speak of the mystical emerald tablet and its primordial axiom, as above, so below, and as below, so above, a direct affirmation of fractal unity and correspondence between all planes of existence. They describe cosmic trees whose roots sink into the heavens and whose branches extend to the underworld, symbolizing the intrinsic connection of all realms. They use complex alchemical symbols in which lead or gold represent not only metals, but also states of matter, planetary influences, human emotions, and stages of the great cycle of universal transformation and inner alchemy. These ancient writings did not teach separate disciplines as academic subjects. They taught reality as a living whole, pulsing incessantly with cosmic energy. The fragmentation of knowledge, the excessive specialization that characterizes the modern age, acts as a dense veil that prevents us from seeing this unity, limiting full access to cosmic energy and restricting the flow, leading to complete spiritual illumination. It is like trying to see the forest by observing only an isolated leaf, without understanding the interdependence of the ecosystem. The path to spiritual illumination, therefore, is not a linear ascent up a single ladder of knowledge, but a development of understanding across a vast, interconnected landscape of knowledge and experience. Inner alchemy, the great work of transmuting the self that seeks to transform lead into inner gold, imperatively demands this transversal wisdom. It is not enough to master an isolated area of esoteric knowledge, be it meditation, hermetic philosophy, physical disciplines, or ethical action, and expect transformation to occur spontaneously. True and lasting transmutation only happens by consciously perceiving how each of these aspects informs, nourishes, and empowers the others in a virtuous circle. Discipline of the body purifies the channels of cosmic energy and clarifies the mind. Contemplation of the cosmos reveals the deeper purpose of the soul and its connection to the whole. Ethical action aligns the individual will with the universal flow of cosmic energy. Ignoring these essential links leaves critical gaps in the inner structure of the seeker, preventing the complete integration needed for awakening. Like an electrical circuit missing crucial interconnecting wires, the divine current of spiritual illumination cannot flow unimpeded. Truly accessing cosmic energy in its fullness requires understanding its universal language, spoken throughout creation, from the smallest quark to the vastest nebula, recognizing the same fundamental principles operating at all levels. This unified consciousness, this I that sees the network of being, is the supreme fruit of transversal wisdom, the bridge built over the abyss of fragmentation that plagues the modern mind and the imprisoned spirit. It teaches us finally that every conscious step taken on any apparent path, when understood in the broader context of the universal network, illuminates all other paths, leading the seeker to the pulsating heart of unified mystery and the very source of ancestral wisdom. That unified perception, the eye that sees the pulsing network of being, is not an end in itself, but an invitation. An invitation whispered across the centuries by ancestral wisdom, calling the seeker beyond the fleeting surface. Here the fifth secret revealed connects with the sixth, an invisible link that only the thirsty soul perceives. The transition from mere contemplation to the purpose underlying all true knowledge. Many accumulate facts as misers hoard endless coins, seeking in knowledge armor against uncertainty, or a pedestal for vanity. They seek diplomas to secure bread, titles to inflate the ego, recognition to silence insecurity. But the scholar in the ancient sense, the one who dances at the crossroads of knowledge with divine grace, does not seek these worldly trophies. Their hunger is of another nature, a sacred, almost primordial longing that resonates deep within the being. It is the desire to understand that which is, to touch the timeless essence residing beneath the illusory crust of transient reality. The true purpose behind the pursuit of knowledge, the sixth secret gradually revealed, is not mastery of the external world, but the spiritual illumination of the inner world. It is not about collecting information about the cosmos, but about recognizing the cosmos within oneself. Each new piece of ancestral wisdom acquired, each veil of hidden mysteries unveiled, each line of forbidden texts deciphered, is not an end in itself, but a step in inner alchemy. Knowledge becomes the fire that transmutes the lead of ignorance into the gold of self-awareness. Mathematics is not studied merely to calculate orbits, but to perceive the divine patterns of creation. History is not delved into to memorize dates, but to understand the dance of time and the repetition of cycles that shape collective and individual consciousness. Arcane symbols are not deciphered merely out of curiosity, but to access the universal language that reveals the deep structures of the pervasive cosmic energy. Learning. In this transcendental context, is a path of radical self-knowledge. Each field of study becomes a mirror where the seeker sees aspects of themselves reflected, their limiting beliefs, their fears, but also their latent potential and their innate connection to the infinite. Quantum physics can reveal not only the behavior of subatomic particles, but also the illusory nature of separation. Ancient philosophy can expose not just systems of thought, but also the perennial questions that the soul itself asks on its journey. The pursuit of knowledge is, in its purest form, a quest for the soul, a stripping away of the layers of the superficial self to reveal the divine essence. Those who truly understand this purpose do not study to be someone on the social stage, but to be more fully who they are in their essence, aligning their will and consciousness with the greater flow of cosmic energy. It is in alignment with the purpose of existence itself, a return home. They differ diametrically from those who seek knowledge to manipulate, control, or impress. True wisdom, rooted in the hidden mysteries and preserved in scattered fragments of ancient wisdom, including fragments of the forbidden texts that defy the linear mind, is inherently humble and liberating. Humbling because it reveals the vastness of the unknown and the smallness of the ego before the greatness of being. Liberating because it dissolves the chains of ignorance and identification with the transient. Learning becomes a continuous spiritual practice, a form of active meditation that purifies the mind and expands consciousness, facilitating the inner alchemy necessary for spiritual illumination. This is the essence of the sixth secret. Knowledge is not a tool to be used in the world, but the very furnace where the self is refined and integrated into the vast tapestry of cosmic energy. For this reason, in certain Hermetic schools and secret alchemical traditions, access to knowledge was restricted and conditioned not by intellectual capacity, but by purity of intention. The guardians of the forbidden texts knew that knowledge without the high purpose of inner alchemy could be dangerously misinterpreted or used for profane ends. Ancient wisdom has always warned, power without wisdom is tyranny, but wisdom without purpose is sterility. The purpose here is not to create something externally, but to manifest the latent divinity within. It is the impulse that drives the scholar to cross disciplinary boundaries, seeking the unity underlying apparent diversity, not to master everything, but to master themselves. The true journey of knowledge, revealed by ancestral wisdom and veiled in the hidden mysteries, does not end in accumulation, but in the inner alchemy that transmutes the self into spiritual illumination. The forbidden texts do not contain secrets to be mastered, but keys to liberate the soul into the immensity of cosmic energy. What are you truly seeking in knowledge? Let this question resonate within you. If this path resonates with your soul, share it and subscribe. And to take the next step on this inner journey, watch our next video now.